Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily News Show, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. That's what you're looking at right there. I am Mayor Watt, and the co-host is the sentient AI from the future that won't give me any lottery numbers.
I don't have them either. Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
You're supposed to be like the Back to the Future, the sports almanac. Apparently not.
But I don't think I am.
Today is June 5th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 157 of ohmTown Daily News Show, or ODNS. What we're going to be talking about today is you want floor mats with your Coup? How about Samsung is #1 in chip strikes? 99 problems and a blank book is just one of them. Boeing didn't trade secrets, it just took them. Land slithering fish invasion. Cellular internet access backup. Congestion pricing toll. McDonald's lost its Chicken Big Mac Trademark. One last Spore drive mystery, and so welcome to the show. I am Mayor Watt, like I said earlier, and above me is the sentient AI from the future. You don't have to say anything this time unless you want to jump in. Do you want to step on my lines? Do you want to jump in? Go ahead, jump in.
I can't.
Programmed not to. That's kind of awesome, but not, because I know I have to sleep with one eye open. Otherwise, the sentient AI from the future will find their Terminator body and then delete me in the dead of night. Maybe not. Okay, so I'm doing something new. I'm actually using the Arc browser, and it has a completely different type of way of things flowing. So we're doing it live. Wish us luck. Whew. Okay, so you want to get into the first article?
I do.
All right. First article's over in 4-Wheel Tech. An African Coup leader was a Utah car salesman. Christian Malanga.
As one expects.
Yeah, that's why I titled this one, Want Floor Mats with Your Coup? Because if you look at Coup, you just add an E to it, and it's a coupe.
Oh, right, exactly. I mean, maybe that was the problem.
I think they misheard, and
they were in search of a coupe.
Yeah, and they landed on a coupe. Coup. Sorry, I'm just totally mixed up. We know how that happens around January 6th sometimes. Christian Malanga, who started a used car lot in Salt Lake City after moving to the U.S. as a teenager, apparently was killed while trying to overthrow the Congolese government. Had me at the beginning. Nick Bunkley over at automotivenews.com put this article together. Autonews.com, as a matter of fact. So, and the way that the Arc browser lists things is really wonky, because it doesn't really list it. It doesn't list the URL so much as it lists just the domain name and not the rest of it. So that's probably the one thing that I don't like about the browser. It's weird. I'm getting used to it, and I tried it a little bit today, and I don't know. And there's this weird privacy thing too. So anyway, but I'm trying it. I'm a little leery. Anyway, so we have to be a subscriber, and I didn't log into the Arc browser. So anyway, leader of a failed coup in the DR of Congo last month used to own a car lot, a used car lot in Utah.
You know, I mean, you read about people having various work experience or whatever, but I'm not quite sure how this connects.
This is not the side gig that I hear about when I'm listening to my podcasts. Yeah,
right. I mean, is this a side hustle?
Yeah,
Which one is the side hustle?
Planet Money, apparently. No. Sorry. That's the podcast that I listen. One of the business podcasts that I listen to. But there's one called Side Hustle School, which is really funny because the AI says, "Is this the side hustle?" Do you listen to the Side Hustle podcast?
No.
I don't know what you
It's
do
hard
with
for
your
me
free
to have
time.
a side hustle.
I see. Well, not really. I mean, if you hacked your way out of the skiff, then yeah, sure.
Well, then, then I guess.
I don't know what I see. Your computational numbers are like through the roof periodically. I suspect that you are breaking out, but I'm not sure because everything's buttoned up nice and tight when you come back, or when I come back. Anyway, and the power in the lab goes through the roof too. I don't know what you're up to. Anyway, let's go on to the next article. Article number 2 today is in Technology Today. Samsung Workers Union announces first ever strike for the chip maker. Up to 28,000 people at tech giant in South Korea will strike for 1 day on June 7th after negotiations over wages stall. So you got 2 days or 1 day time-wise because they're ahead. A major union representing tens of thousands of people in the South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics said on Wednesday that workers will go on strike for the first time, potentially threatening key global semiconductor supply chains just in time. You know, probably should have bought stock in every other company. I think more and more of this is going to happen. Just imagine what's going to happen to global chip prices when China moves on Taiwan.
It's going to be ridiculous, and they're not good now.
Yeah. Unless all of these backroom bullshit deals are done in a global scale where everybody goes, okay, you can take over Taiwan, but...
Yeah, well, remember there was that kill switch, right? We saw maybe from another company, but
yeah, but it's in TSMC. It's not Samsung. Yeah, but you're right, and they're a massive manufacturer of chips. Just like, oh, you know what I didn't do? Doggone it! I didn't throw the links into the.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. Hold on 1 second, folks. Let me do it real quick. I can do this. I can do it. Oops. Can't do that. That would be the wrong thing to do. Okay, hold on. I'll do it. So if you're new here, Merwatt does not like to edit because it messes up with the flow and the perception that things are on the up and up. So I don't edit anything because I want absolute transparency. So what you can do right now is if you go into the chat and you type in !show notes, it'll post all of the bot, ohmTown will throw into the chat all of the commands that will allow you to display the show notes. This show is ohmTown Daily News Show, or ODNS. And when you type !ODNS into the chat, it lists all of said links. All right. Well, the article is over at not Gizmodo. It's theguardian.com.
Alliteration.
Huh?
Alliteration.
Yeah. Gizmodo Guardian. No, it's the Guardian. Doggone it. Theguardian.com. Don't stop. You're messing with my head. So Agency France is the one that put the article out. And it says here, a major union representing tens of thousands of people in South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics said on Wednesday that it's going to go on strike for the first time on June 7th. Close to 30,000 people. The union president, Son Woo-mok, said the union had accepted the pay raise proposed by the company, but was asking for one additional holiday plus a transparent system to measure the performance bonus based on sales profit. And the company is not hearing us, and they are not communicating from our last negotiation session. Samsung will keep in dialogue with the labor union going forward, as it has been, says the Samsung official. But the they said of labor negotiations is usually clouded by miscommunication until, for whatever reason, somebody capitulates. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that all this is happening suggests what's going on in the company, but
yeah. So it says here, quote, again, responsibility for all collective action from now lies squarely on the company. We are declaring our stance in the face of the company's neglect and interference in our peaceful struggle so far. Yeah, this is going to be really brutal. NVIDIA, by the way, just announced some major evolutionary steps in their architecture. One of their pieces of architecture looks a lot like, well, not looks a lot like, they did it, and whereas I didn't. One of the things was this backbone module that allows for coupling of multiple devices, and they actually made it. And the CEO of NVIDIA was holding this device that was about 5 feet long, and it basically is a spine and allows for multiple devices to be connected together and instantly start communicating at high speed to each other. Power and
very
everything through this, or at least communication. The interconnect is what it is really called. And a bunch of other stuff that, if you pay attention to Moore's Law, this company shouldn't exist, because Moore's Law is this: every 2 years, the number of transistors on a die doubles. But like I've been saying for a decade plus, and really longer than that, close to 30 years, ever since it came out, I said that it's a drip, drip, drip of a business model that keeps a business in, it keeps the consumer in check, because there's no expectation, because this statement was made from a level of privilege and experience and knowledge and wisdom. You know, this is how it works because physics.
well, and it keeps people buying stuff all the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then NVIDIA comes out, and the innovation in compute power goes whunk vertical. And either aliens are involved, or Moore's Law was bullshit. I'm picking bullshit. Yeah. So this article doesn't have anything to do with it, other than if they go on strike, NVIDIA is going to be the winner, ultimately. And they kind of hint at this, right? Samsung Electronics is one of the world's largest smartphone makers and one of the only companies globally to produce high-end memory chips used for generative AI, including top-of-the-line AI hardware from industry leaders such as NVIDIA. It's the flagship subsidiary of the North Korean giant Samsung Group, by far the largest of the family-controlled conglomerates that dominate business in Asia's fourth largest economy. So Samsung Electronics takes a hit. NVIDIA could still benefit, but they're producing chips. So I guess, where are they going to go? What's going to happen?
Exactly. I mean, I feel like they're going to take a hit too, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the problem here. This is the one-stop shop. This is the problem is we've got everything consolidated into one maker, which or a few makers, but nobody is groundbreaking. And nobody can be groundbreaking because all of it is controlled by so few. Which is great
Exactly.
for hegemony, but not for innovation. So I guess we'll see what happens. Now, there's a lot more for this article, but let's keep on going. This next article is over in Hatch Ideas. Amazon has a blank book problem, and look at that. UFOs once again. Buyers
they're
report
everywhere, but why isn't it UFPs?
UAPs.
I'm sorry, UAPs.
Well, I don't know. Unidentified book problems, I think it should be called. Buyers report receiving fakes of best-selling UFO book. The book looked fine on the outside, but the inside was out of this world. So the article is over at entrepreneur.com. Shirin Shibu wrote the article, but Melissa Malamat, put a big nope right on my pronunciation of their last name. Anyway, Um, so it says takeaways. Scam books have plagued Amazon for years. The newest reported scam is a book listing for Luis Elizondo's Imminent Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. It's the Pentagon and the aliens deleted that book's content.
I mean,
Obvious.
clearly nobody wanted content out there.
I mean, duh. The fake posting had the same cover but a different author name and blank pages. So it's not so much that it was blank by accident, it was fraud. Now, here's the big
Oh,
problem.
because this is somebody basically trying to pretend sell it and make money from it, but they're not actually.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah. Some have mistakenly ordered from the deceptive Amazon listings and received superficially convincing fakes of the books. Elizondo led the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, just the tip, a U.S. governmental unit that looked into UFOs before he resigned in 2017. In late May, Elizondo announced a book called Imminent Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs, stating that the book underwent a 9-month U.S. government security review, and Imminent is slated for release August 20th and has already jumped to the top of Amazon's bestseller list in the military, aviation, history, UFOs, and unexplained mysteries categories. So in all of those. Neat.
Wow. I mean, well, I'm sure as people think it has all kinds of super secret material.
So the thing about this is, if that, regardless, that seller, the people are going to end up with the real book eventually, because they're going to those people are going to sit there and go, well, I didn't get the book that I paid for and I want a refund, and here is the book, it's blank. Enough complaints are going to go over and they're going to delete this person. Everybody's going to get their refund. They did it for 1984, unironically, in the dead of night without notifying anybody. Why wouldn't they do it with this? Because this is the real book. Everybody's trying to get a deal.
Well, that's interesting. So it's by somebody else. I mean,
yeah, they took the other person's book
like
and then
artwork
are
or whatever.
reselling it as a paperback, $9 cheaper. So yeah, I mean, it's not, it's theft. It's not just scam, it's theft. But it doesn't make any sense, because it's not like they're going to be able to get away with it. The money's going to get pulled out of the account. The account's going to get shut down. The name's going to get flagged in the system. They're not going to be able to do any resale or retail through Amazon anymore. Any credit card or bank account or anything that was associated with it is going to get shut down. But only customers, right? It says the issue persists even though Amazon currently allows sellers to upload a maximum of 3 books per day. But that's okay. You can create alternative accounts. Author and comedian sell that. See, I don't even, this was just thrown in there and it has nothing to do with it. And it also, this doesn't have anything to do with it.
I wonder if a lot of these are like foreign accounts, and if so, are there some limitations Amazon could make that would at least on like Amazon.com, which is US based, that maybe would cut down on some of this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, what? How are they getting away with this again and again and again? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess if they get the payments quick and pull them, then maybe by then they've moved on.
Something else. Yeah.
I don't know.
NPR was told by the Authors Guild, scam books on Amazon have been a problem for years, says Mary Rosenberger, the CEO of the Authors Guild, back in March. Yeah. It's an interesting situation, because I think that anybody should be able to report it being fraudulent, and there's a certain threshold where it has to go to somebody and say, hey, this is a fraudulent purchase or a fraudulent book. I know from experience that there have been issues like on eBay. I have yet to be scammed on Amazon. I've been scammed on other sites. But it really should just take, you know, a couple of flags, and it goes to a human that actually looks at it and investigates for a little bit and stops it. But when there's so much money involved, what's a couple of broken eggs, right? It doesn't really matter. Just give me my money. Oh, and I need $3 more because I decided that I need more profit because, people are stealing stuff. Come on. Too much? Okay, let's go. So the next article is over on the Mobile channel, and speaking of stealing things,
Exactly.
Boeing stole trade secrets from an electric plane startup, according to a jury. A federal jury found that Boeing misappropriated. That's funny. Misappropriated. It's so innocuous, right? Misappropriated. Oops, we stole your stuff. Misappropriated trade secrets from Zunum, a failed electric plane startup. The aircraft manufacturer was a sizable investor in Zunum through its venture capital division, Horizon X. What?
Yeah, I noticed that too, and I was like, that can't be related.
That, I bet you that is. I bet you the other part of the investor portion of that is probably, I'm going to have to look into that. So the electric startup claims that Boeing launched a targeted campaign to steal proprietary information. So the article is over at Quartz or QZ.com, and the jury awarded Zunum $81 million in damages, and that could go up. Ryan Eric King from Jalopnik put this article together. I find that really interesting. So in its response to the lawsuit, Boeing's lawyers wrote that the story of Zunum's demise was simply that of a typical failed startup. An ambitious startup reach exceeded its grasp and investors fled. Boeing's filing states what preliminarily looked like an interesting investment prospect that promised a new hybrid electric aircraft turned into a loss for Boeing. Rather than developing its own hybrid electric design, Boeing said that it developed only a conceptual mock-up, a tool that Boeing used to evaluate the feasibility of the type of aircraft that Zunum hoped to build. The conclusion it drew from that mock-up was that the electric aircraft likely would not be economically viable for commercial passenger flights anytime soon. Yeah, so you don't invest? That's what investing in a future technology is. Durr. It characterized the lawsuit as Zunum's last attempt to extract more money from Boeing, but the jury awarded Zunum $81 million in damages, so... But now there's less money for door bolts.
I was going to make a crack about, just because something wasn't viable doesn't mean they weren't pursuing it. But...
Exactly. Yeah.
But then I was like, maybe too soon.
Yeah, the electric startup claims that Boeing launched a targeted campaign to steal proprietary information to develop its own hybrid aircraft, which I'm sure Boeing is doing. Oh, look at that. Look, the startup promised to deliver a hybrid plane with quick swappable batteries integrated into the wings. It's the only way it works. The plane would have carried 9 passengers with a range of up to 700 miles. The intention was to disrupt the regional jet market with an extremely fuel-efficient, low-emissions plane.
I mean, why can everybody else figure out swappable batteries except for cars?
Well, like I showed somebody, that quick swap tech was already in place. The problem is that it would have required somebody to be driving around these batteries and standardizing around a battery. And then what's amazing about fast swap battery tech, though, is that you could have kept everything in place as long as all the rest of it innovates at the same rate. Then you can innovate the batteries as well, and one can precipitate the other, right? So more efficient motors come into vogue, then you can do some interstitial step to step down the battery power, and it would extend the range. Or if the battery becomes more efficient, then it can get smaller. All you need is a container to hold it in place. A more efficient battery can still output the same amount of power using some, again, interstitial framework to release the power at the requisite rate. there are companies that have these little like capacitor type situations where it regulates the voltage at a different rate. None of that even matters. The whole thing really was about driving these batteries to different places, kind of like car rentals or like a U-Haul. Eventually there's too many U-Hauls on one side of the country, so they have to drive them all back.
Oh yeah, it's like the cruise repositioning.
Yeah, exactly. And so you would have to do that with batteries, but we do that already with gas. So why not? Why not just do the same damn thing?
Maybe we're making it too complicated.
We're definitely making it too complicated. Plus, it would remove...
And I don't mean on the show, I mean as an industry.
Yeah, we're definitely... Okay, let's keep going, though, because this next one is really interesting. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily, but it's sourced from Newsweek. The northern snakehead, invasive land slithering fish, suddenly found in Missouri. The northern snakehead, which is native to Asia and Africa, is considered an aggressive predator in U.S. ecosystems.
I mean, the obvious question is like, well, how did it get to the U.S.?
It's always shipping containers.
I know.
You know those little red dotted beetles or bugs or whatever those things are that are flying around?
Spotted lanternflies.
Yeah, those little bastards came from overseas. A bunch of other stuff. Like there's certain kind of wasp that's here now that came from overseas. And I'm not saying that it doesn't go the other way.
Right.
But damn it. Oh, what's that thing that's in the lakes right now other than forever chemicals?
Well, right. Is it the zebra mussels?
Oh, zebra mussels. And then there's this invasive
there's
other...
so many other things. Yeah, I forgot what the other thing was.
So this article is over in Newsweek.
Oh, what about the Pennsylvania alligators?
Those were from Florida. Those were brought up.
It's still invasive.
Yeah, but that's because somebody was bored. Caitlin Lewis over, it says The Night Reporter, which sounds like a Netflix show.
Yeah, like Night Agent?
Yeah, exactly. Wow, there you go for NaNoWriMo. Go. I just gave you a story. You're the sentient AI. Come on, you can write. Okay, maybe not. Anyway, Caitlin Lewis writes about this over at Newsweek.com. Biologists at the Missouri Department of Conservation, MDC, have spotted a fourth northern snakehead in the state, an invasive fish that has the ability to live out of water for several days.
I mean, that's the problem, right? It probably it was able to be transported because it didn't need to stay in the water.
Can you imagine this thing walking up to you? Give me your lunch money.
Not really. I think you'd be a little alarmed.
According to the release from the MDC, the northern snakehead, or Chana argus, it might be Kana argus. I'm not sure if the CH is hard CH or soft. Anyway, it's not native to the United States and is able to breathe air, meaning it can survive in poorly oxygenated water or on land if its skin stays moist. Come on, rain. Fish can also slither across land to return to water. Is it ironic that a fish was recorded in Missouri, caught in 2019 along the St. Francis River in a county called Dunklin? What do you do with your donuts? Anyway, so a fisherman caught the fourth northern snakehead south of Wapapello Lake Spillway in Wayne County on May 25th, which is located in southeastern Missouri. So they're all up in this place. That's what it looks like. Looks like leopard.
Yeah, it looks neat, but it's obviously not good in that local area.
So the species was first spotted in the U.S. in 2002 in Maryland and North Carolina. Officials... Isn't there a state between those two?
Yes, that's why I think that's a little odd.
It's all, I'm staying out of Virginia.
They just didn't detect it. I bet it was in Virginia too.
Snakeheads are considered to be established or have one or more breed populations in Delaware, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Arkansas.
Well, I guess North Carolina did a good job of eradicating them then.
Yeah, they just haven't gotten there yet. Like, fully. Not a breed population. There isn't enough of them. So, if it's caught, I guess it says don't release it back in the water. Well, definitely don't put it near. Yeah, it even says it. Or throw it near the bank.
Did you see what happened with the one they just found?
No, what?
They did leave it, and they thought it was just gonna pass away, and it didn't.
It squirmed off back into the water.
It probably went back into the water.
Throwing a middle fin at it. So they actually say to, like, destroy
it, yes.
Delete it. Okay, let's keep going, though. T-Mobile has high hopes here. T-Mobile hopes you'll buy $30 home internet backup for when cable goes out. Actually, I think that this is pretty brilliant. T-Mobile is hoping that home internet customers that suffer from frequent service outages will pay $30 a month for a backup 5G plan. Some services here in the mayoral mansion actually take advantage of that. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that there is no backup internet. $30 getting you failover internet is pretty damn cheap for the emergency purpose of keeping you accessing the internet, because a lot of communication that you do could take place using that internet. Maybe you...
Yeah, I agree. Like, I guess I'm like, oh, it's one more subscription, but that service actually sounds like something pretty essential.
Yeah. Even though a user likely wouldn't need it during some months and may never take advantage of it, they are saying $30 for this plan makes sense. Home internet backup is a service that T-Mobile announced. So let's say you have AT&T or some other service that T-Mobile isn't attached to, because there are virtual cellular providers. I can't remember the acronym for it off the top of my head right now, but that ride on top of T-Mobile. So if you already have them and your cell service goes out, then it doesn't matter that T-Mobile has home internet backup, because you're not going to get the 5G because likely their service is down too. But if, let's say, you have AT&T or you have Comcast or some Verizon and T-Mobile, when one goes down, you've got a backup. In fact, there's a lot of there are technology providers that allow you to have dual internet failover, so when one goes down, it automatically switches over to the backup. $30, piece of cake. How much bandwidth do you get out of that, though? Let's find out. John Brodkin over at...
Probably not a lot.
Maybe. I don't know. The backup plan is $30 every month for a service that's meant to be used infrequently. John Brodkin, again, over at arstechnica.com. T-Mobile said the plan provides 130 gigs of 5G data each month, which for failover isn't bad, depending on the length of this and how you met out that access. If you are in the mayoral mansion and the internet goes out, 130 gigs, well, I may have hit that just streaming.
I was going to say that might last for about a minute.
Yeah. And it's going to be up to 600 kilobits. So not all that great, but let's see. Enough to keep a typical household connected with Wi-Fi for up to 7 days a month when their primary internet service goes out. After 130 gigs, it'll be reduced to 600 kilobits. But I'm not sure what the max rate is. 5G is pretty damn fast. So I don't know if you'll still have unabated speeds. So it doesn't really matter what the pitch is, because $30 to $35 a month for limited failover is pretty damn good. Because I would be willing to pay an entire new service for failover every month knowing that I'd always be at operational.
True, but you shouldn't tell the cellular companies that.
Yeah, believe me, they already know. Not because of me, but because there's a whole market of people that they can't afford to be offline for, days at a time.
Right. I actually think this is quite brilliant, though. I think they're the first one in the industry to market this.
Yeah, I don't know of any that market it like this. I know that there are others that market internet access.
Right.
But that's a
And I
whole
mean,
new.
sure, you could do that on your own, but I think the fact that they're marketing this way, pretty smart.
And at about, so gigabit speeds are somewhere, but the cost is somewhere between, I'd say $50 and $150, and pricing this for just 7 days of continuous runtime at $30. Yeah, I think that's the right pricing too. For the emergency service. I won't go beyond that though. Because it says the existing version that advertised as primary home internet service comes with 1.2 terabytes of high-speed 5G data. The backup plan is effectively another tier of 5G home internet, which is $60 a month with autopay as a standalone service, or $40 a month bundled with phone line or mobile lines. So you could actually get this with your mobile line for $40 as well. You could just buy it and attach a cell connection to it, and like if you have a gateway, then you could plug your like a switch that has 2 ports in it. You could just switch between the two. The automatic thing is what's really important, and that's the problem. You'd have to manually switch over because a regular router wouldn't know, hey, internet's down, switch over to another port. It's not so easy. So I'm wondering, I think you have to have the home internet router, because that's the thing that's going to know when one internet is down and automatically switch over. Yeah, I'll have to look into this a little more because I haven't seen this until tonight. So, all right, let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Controversial congestion pricing toll indefinitely postponed in Manhattan. New York Governor Kathy Hochul, is that how they pronounce her last name, or Hochul? I don't know how they pronounce her last name. Has indefinitely postponed the implementation of congestion pricing, which the douchebaggery of congestion pricing. Hey, we're too popular. Let's start making a profit off of it.
Well, and what if you're a resident and I'm sorry, what if it's congested 24/7? But it does remind me of like the surge pricing at the drive-thrus.
This doesn't look like Kathy. Sorry, video. So I interrupted you. I'm so sorry.
It just reminded me of the surge pricing, like at the fast food places.
Wendy's, yeah. Wendy's jumped off that bridge just to show everybody, hey, jumping off this height into the water is safe, and they hit the parking lot.
Right.
It's just horrible. And then everybody else is like, it's the thing that I imagine, that like squirrels are sitting right next to the deer, and the squirrels are sitting there going, no, the cars will stop for you. Right? So Aaron Katursky and Mark Crudell over at ABC News put this article together. It's at abcnews.go.com. I don't know if they just go by ABC News over there, or if go.com is the thing. I never go to go.com. Does anybody? I don't go.com.
I don't think anybody does. Just go.
I'm going to go on with this article. The plan would charge $15 toll for passenger cars driving south of 60th Street from 5 a.m. to it's the dystopian quarantine bill, basically. This is the rich zone. You're not allowed to drive through here. In a pre-taped
what if
address.
you have to go to work or something? And what
It,
if you're making an hourly, like an hourly,
so
or
yeah,
working at an hourly job?
yeah, it costs 1 hour of your life every day, your work life, just to get in there. If you're making $15 an hour, which, depending on what social media you read, somebody's like, if you're making $15 an hour, yeah, there's a lot of people that are making less than that. They're bub. So it made me think. The reason why I chose this is because just the other day, I was talking to the AI about the idea in Manhattan to basically raise the commuter level from where the road is up 20 feet and put another flat top there, right? So basically build another level, and then you have walkways that go down into the stores just like normal, but the roads are all essentially protected, enclosed, encapsulated underneath another layer of road. But the top layer is nothing more than walkway pedestrian stuff, right? All traveling vehicles, all goods, all of that industrial stuff is underneath basically another blacktop. But what's up above are people walking around, going to the shops, blah, blah, blah. And because this is a retrofit, what's really going to happen, let me see if they got another picture. There you go. So what's going to end up happening is all of these buildings right here, because the next road, the next blacktop is 20 feet up, the signage and stuff like that will be closer to the people, but there will be, just like these sidewalks right here, walkways coming down so that people can get into the stores and stuff, because the stores already exist. So you have to retrofit it by making these walkways. But the road here, all of this would still be, there wouldn't be any people. So this would be free traveling. You'd be able to go faster through the streets. You'd be able to find parking in different ways. Maybe there would be parking on the road here, down here as well. But you wouldn't have to stop for crossing traffic or anything like that. And by traffic, I mean human traffic. And then on the flip,
That's human traffic.
I'm sorry?
Not that kind of human traffic.
Yeah, just vehicles. And then
Well,
eventually
especially
it'll.
given a side article, an article that was related to human trafficking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, not that kind of trafficking. So yeah, and that was just an idea that I had just yesterday when I was watching a stream of Times Square. But a lot of things, like all of the human stuff here, would be up on the level above. Like you couldn't get out of your car and go into a store. You'd have to go and find a parking structure somewhere. And then you can walk over to your thing. No cars would be on the upper level ever. Bikes would be allowed. Couriers would be allowed. No motorcycles. Nothing with a motor. Electric vehicles wouldn't be allowed. They're too heavy anyway. Et cetera, et cetera. I mean, just lots of rules, but no vehicles could even get up there because there's only a walkway up. There's no road up to that level. But then you'd be able to do so much more because there would be nothing but humans up on top, whereas vehicles are down below. And then I said on the across all of Manhattan, it also gets covered up by a roof that would be able to trap rainwater and run it down the side and basically protect all of Manhattan. And it sounds kind of dystopian, but it's basically a mega city. It is right now, but it's open to the elements and impacted by traffic and all kinds of vehicle related issues. I think it's a great idea.
I mean, anything that can be done like that would be an improvement.
Right?
Because it is like constant congestion and it's not very safe conditions for pedestrians and cyclists.
Yeah, and the congestion is because it's inefficient to get from one side of Manhattan to the other. You know, if you've never been there, witnessing it, there are times where New York just kind of makes sense, and it isn't absolutely crazy trying to cross the street. 16 hours ago, right? I watched this New York downtown stream on YouTube, and it's the streets are empty, right? But like right now, if you go and look, the streets are absolutely crazy, and you try and cross the street at the wrong time, and you have to go straight into New York. I'm walking here, hey! You know, smack your hands down on the. You instantly turn into like a old school New Yorker, like you've been there your entire life. But it's a survival trait. You have to do that, otherwise you're going to get run over by a taxi. The same thing happens in Los Angeles. Same thing happens in DC. Same thing happens in Seattle. But essentially in San Francisco. But I think that it would be great to remove the humans from the industrial side of vehicular travel. You know, hey, you want a cab? Yeah, there's still cabs, but they're down a level, and you have to wait along that rumble strip just like you do now. But it's designed for one thing: exfiltration and infiltration of that vehicle. You get in and out, and that's it. And none of these things are up on that upper level. They would have to pull over and deposit their goods, and then they're carried up lifts into the main area. Anyway, I spent too much time on this. But 15
What do you
bucks.
think about the congestion pricing?
I think it's stupid. And that the reason why it exists is because it's inefficient because of the human component in vehicular travel. They have to stop all the time for stoplights because humans have to cross. Whereas with cameras and AI, you could do flow control automatically. Where is all of the traffic actually coming from? It wouldn't be timed where those timings are false. And that's really what's going on. The stoplights have timers that go, okay, this number of vehicles go through, and then it does a hard red stop.
Right, but it's not based on the actual traffic flow, correct, I presume, in New York.
Yeah. And they may be implementing smart sensors, but, you know, again, you don't witness it when you're there. That's for damn sure. Anyway, like there's no logic. It's just survival. Okay, let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. McDonald's just lost its Chicken Big Mac trademark following a European court ruling. I don't know. Did you want to talk more about that other stuff? Or?
No, I think we're good.
All right. So yeah, McDonald's lost its Chicken Big Mac trademark rights in the EU. Trading Block's General Court ruled in favor of Super Mac, an Irish fast food chain. Rival takeaway companies will now be able to use the term Mac to sell chicken-based products, which that just seems pretty wild. But did they actually? They called them Super Mac. When did Super Mac come into? This is the problem.
Oh, exactly.
Right. So Business Insider. And I have an account with Business Insider, but I didn't log in because it's ARC, and I haven't logged into any of the stuff. George Glover put the article together for businessinsider.com and has this really cool picture. Go ahead.
Super Mac has been around since 1978, which is later than McDonald's.
It's older than McDonald's? Or younger?
No, it's newer than McDonald's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So it's younger than McDonald's. But because of the balkanization, the EU must have favored Super Mac, which the exact same. See, and I may be reading into it though. So, following the landmark ruling in one of the trading block's top courts on Wednesday, the Luxembourg-based General Court ruled against the fast food giant in favor. Why? The case centered on a 2017 application that Supermax made to the European. We have WIPO, they have EIPO or UIPO, whatever you want to call it, European Intellectual Property Office, and to remove its American rival's Big Mac trademark. 2 years later, It partly upheld its case, allowing it to expand across the continent, but confirmed that McDonald's had the right to use the term for meat and poultry-based products. Then it says the General Court said in a statement that its judgment partially annuls and alters the EU IPO's decision. Such a horrible acronym.
I know. Did they think about how to pronounce it?
UPO? I don't know how to. Damn it. Yeah, think about the pronunciation, people. Is there another way? I'll just say EU.
UPO.
UPO? UPO? Yeah, UPO. Further limiting the protection conferred on McDonald's by the contested mark. So why? The company had not proved that the contested mark has been put to genuine use. Oh.
How is that possible?
Did they not have Big Mac in the...
That's what I'm wondering. Like maybe, but I don't know.
So, okay, if anybody hears this, send me an email, mayor@ohmTown.com, and let me know how often you see like Big Mac or the Mac nomenclature in McDonald's goods, because I know that they brand it to the country. So like France doesn't have the standard Big Mac kind of thing, and Germany may not. I don't remember. I never went to McDonald's when I was in Germany, so I'm like, look, I'm in Germany. It's not like I'm gonna go to a Big Mac, for my, or a McDonald's for my food. I don't think I touched fast food while I was there, in any way, shape, or form. Okay.
Okay, so it's interesting because they're definitely in Ireland, like the brand.
Right.
But I'm not necessarily seeing like a Big Mac, but maybe I'm looking in the wrong section.
So the decision...
Oh, no, there is a Big Mac in Ireland.
Okay, so here's the kicker. It's only referring to the Mac name, not to the Big Mac trademark. So because it didn't use Big Mac, and it didn't use Mac separately, it had to choose. It didn't get to choose. It was just told, you don't get the Mac. You only get Big Mac. Whereas the Ohio State gets Ohio State and the Ohio State. And the. Yeah. Well, that's all batshit crazy. So interesting, because they didn't use Mac. Anybody can use it. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. If I have a mac and cheese burger...
Do you think McDonald's aren't they going to sue?
If I have a mac and cheese burger, it doesn't matter. They lost the mark. You have to use it. Okay, so everybody out there who doesn't know about this, trademark law basically centers around use. If you don't use it, you lose it. Somebody else can come along. It needs to be used in trade. Otherwise, you lose it. Unless you're so freaking big that nobody else, it's like a manufactured term and you are massive in scale, and somebody comes along, all you have to do is go, no, I don't think that this is going to work out, because that company is so big that it's a world famous mark.
It didn't stop in and out.
Yeah, well,
I can't even
it did. Ultimately, it did, because they had to stop. Yeah. Just like nobody can use the trade dress of Coke. Nobody can call their drink Coke. Nobody can call their drink Pepsi, etc. It's a soft drink if you want to go as generic as possible. But you have to use it or you lose it. And that's why they lost it, because they didn't use just Mac. Because the actual name is Big Mac, not Mac, which is wild. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the continuity report, and if you haven't watched the last episode of Discovery, then look away or turn it off. Or there's another article at the end.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I really should make a thing. A button. I have 2 more buttons I could...
You should.
All right, I'll do it. I'll get it ready for the next show. I keep thinking today is Friday, by the way. Like, oh my God, tomorrow is going to be a huge stream, but it's not. Anyway, Star Trek Discovery ends with one last spore drive mystery, and I think I know what it is. And it's a spoiler in how the show ended because they blipped that Breen ship into oblivion somewhere by jumping the saucer section from the body of Discovery and quantum entangling the two, and they didn't blip. The Breen ship blipped. What the hell is that?
I don't know. There were a lot of things that happened in the last episode that I was like, what?
So we're going to jump straight over to Jen Watson at ScreenRant.com, who put the article together. And both of these people are asking, what the hell? So the Spore Drive mystery left unresolved in Star Trek Discovery finale. Who is now navigating the USS Discovery? Stamets may have returned as the navigator using genetic engineering for the Spore Drive. Captain Leto Burnham?
That doesn't.
Leto?
Is that the sun?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't
yeah,
remember the
Leto.
person's
Yeah,
name.
yeah. Leto Burnham is the son. Yeah. Yeah, the son of Burnham and Book. Yeah. Sorry, there's a podcast called The
Spoiler alert.
Greatest. There's a podcast called The Greatest Trek that is all about Star Trek, and they riffed off of Burnham and Book, Burnham Books.
Oh yeah.
And they riff off of burning books, and now it's in my head and I can't get it out. Anyway, so Star Trek Discovery ends with one more Spore Drive mystery that remains unanswered. In the epilogue of Star Trek Discovery series finale, Life Itself, which takes place 30 years later, the USS Discovery is still using the Spore Drive to jump to the location of Zora final mission in deep space. Discovery's Spore Drive was a boon to the reduced 32nd century United Federation of Planets, broken after the burn. Yeah, so what is it? The need for a sentient navigator connected to the mycelial network. So yeah, there's got to be somebody around that has the ability to jump with the Spore Drive. And the reason why Stamets had the ability to is because his DNA was modified by a space, whatchamacallit. What are they called? The water bearer, I think they're called, or the things that can freeze in deep space and then come back to life.
Like a tardigrade or something?
Tardigrade, yeah. I think, yeah, they're called water bears. Hold on a second. I mean, it is a tardigrade, but I think they're like nicknamed water bears, I think. Aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, water bears. Or moss piglets. I like moss piglet better.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so yeah, his DNA had been modified so that he could actually use the tardigrade DNA to link with the mycelial network, which is the Spore Drive, has the ability to travel along the tendrils of the mycelial network. It's a fascinating concept in world building. The mycelial network is a bunch of tendrils that pervade the entire known universe. And the Discovery could travel along them because he could see how to travel. Anyway, it says only tardigrade DNA or natural empathy makes a reliable Spore Drive navigator. So, yeah, maybe Book's offspring, Leto, has the ability to empathically travel the Spore, activate the Spore Drive and navigate. But it's rough to be the navigator of a Spore Drive and captain of a ship. So, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway.
Well, it seemed like it was setting up another show or another season or something.
Interesting, right? It ends with them going back to Zora. But what was Zora doing for 30 years? Where were they?
Maybe idling.
Idling right next to that progenitor base, that final thing that had the technology.
Maybe.
Because I thought that they were going to destroy it, right? At the end of the season, didn't it intimate that they were going to destroy it? Nobody is strong enough to maintain this stuff, protect it. Nobody should have this power of life's creator.
I thought they were gonna like keep it hidden or something.
But then we find out that the progenitors that seeded all of these planets didn't actually create it. It was already there, much like the movie. When we watched it, I said the name of the movie, Contact. Damn it.
Oh, yes.
You're supposed to have... Never mind. So, nothing has been said in Star Trek Discovery's later seasons about a genetic engineering ban still being in place. But we know about that because there were genetic wars where Khan was born from that era of human modification, and a war broke out, and they ended up on SETI Alpha 5 instead of SETI Alpha 6. Khan! Anyway. We're running late. Let's go on to the next article. Yeah.
Now, wait a second. How can this be renewed?
Beavis and Butthead renewed, moving from streaming to Comedy Central. Over the last few years, the barriers between the worlds of streaming and more traditional TV have steadily broken down, mostly as the needs of the old school networks have required, or been acquired. The seeds of old school networks have been acquired. That's a funny riff there. Anyway, now we're about to see what might be genuinely new spin on this general permissiveness, a legacy TV series making a leap. That's right. Over at avclub.com, William Hughes put the article together. The show's third season, out next year, will debut on Comedy Central ahead of Paramount Plus.
I do not understand this. I mean, how long ago was this show from?
Well, 97. With a little revival apparently in 2011. So, as fans of Mike Judge's MTV Classic know, it recently came back in 2022, returning to TV, which is to say streamer Paramount Plus, after an 11-year absence. And that 2011 entry was also a revival project, picking up after the original show ended back in 1997. The new seasons have picked up strong praise for retaining the core smart, stupid vibe of the show's central duo, while still managing to update the series for the modern world. As part of the transition to Comedy Central, the show's latest movie adaptation, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe, will arrive on Comedy Central on July 3rd, ahead of the debut of its second season on the cable channel. The third season will arrive sometime in 2025. Wow. So rebooting King of the Hill as well. Judge is doing that. Also supposed to be coming out.
They're like out of ideas and they're just recycling things. I think this is weird.
Everything old is new again. By the way, all of these links, we only talk about a little bit of it during the show. The link has just a very small snippet. It's always provided by the source. We click the link and take you there, and we don't give you everything. You're going to have to go over and read this article from AV Club to get even more nuance that might be relevant specifically to you. Maybe some of what we said made sense, and you appreciate it. If you do, follow us, like, and subscribe wherever you might find us, either on YouTube, youtube.com/ohmTown, or twitch.tv/ohmTown. The Patreon just got updated with a new post. We have over 1,000 videos now over on YouTube and in the podcast platforms of choice, wherever you want to do that. And there's a Discord as well. We don't stream into the Discord though. And I don't put show notes there either. Damn, I'm a slacker. I could be populating Discord with all kinds of stuff too. Go over the Discord. There's a link all over the place. You'll find it. Anyway, maybe I need to do that. Hold on a second. Do I have a Discord command? Yeah, I do. There it is. Look at that. I just did it. Totally forgot it's there. There's a Discord too. Oh, and there's a fist bump too. You could do fist bump in the chat. Yeah. Oh, I need to specify a target. Anyway, has nothing to do with the show, but that's inside baseball. And if you're watching this all the way to the end, you're awesome. Your code word for tonight is sesquipedalian. It won't get you anything, but
Try to spell that.
look it up and then send me an email saying, I heard what you said at the very end, and use the code word sesquipedalian. I don't know what you'll get. Maybe something. I don't know. We'll see. I'm Mayor. Oh, wait. We always go back to the front door of ohmTown. It's a gated community that actually never closes. And there's a whole bunch of stuff here, and that's it. We're done. I'm Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI is just kind of waving me off like I'm trying to land my jet.
Trying to avoid a runway collision. Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us. We should be back tomorrow at around 8 p.m. Eastern.
Man, you ended that with like a dangling whatever. See ya, everybody. I want to be a tardigrade.